I found Grandpa sitting on the porch, calm as sunrise, while a fake HOA cop knelt in the dirt in front of him, wheezing, shaking, and begging my granddad not to shoot. That's what happens, Grandpa said softly, when a fool forgets whose land he's standing on. But before we get to that moment, let's back up. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. The trouble began a week earlier. Our ranch sits right at the edge of Willow Bend Estates, an HOA neighborhood run by Karen Whitlow, a woman who believed she ruled the county because she owned a clipboard and 3 pairs of identical beige sweaters. Grandpa had lived on this land for 52 years. Karen had lived there for 14 months. You can guess who thought they owned more. She'd been complaining for months. Your goats can be seen from the hiking trail. Your barn roof is the wrong shade of red. Your tractor is too loud during HOA quiet hours. Grandpa always gave the same answer, ma'am, I'm not in your HOA, and this ain't your land. But Karen didn't take no for an answer. So she upgraded her harassment. She hired a compliance officer, a fake one. His name was Trevor Holt, a 27-year-old with a tactical vest from Amazon, a dollar store badge, and the kind of confidence only found in men who've never been punched. He showed up the first afternoon, stomping across our property like he was walking into a raid. Grandpa was feeding the goats when Trevor pushed open our gate without knocking. Sir, Trevor barked, you are in violation of HOA Livestock Visibility Code 14B. You need to remove these animals or face penalties. Grandpa didn't even look his direction. This ranch ain't in your jurisdiction, he said calmly. Trevor stepped closer, hand resting on his baton like he watched too many cop shows. You don't get to decide that. Your animals are disturbing the aesthetic value of the community. Grandpa turned slowly, wiped his hands on his jeans. Son, he said gently, if you want to keep breathing good, you best step off my land. Trevor smirked because idiots don't understand warnings. You refuse to comply? He said. I'll escalate enforcement. Then he left, but his grin said he'd be back. The next morning, Grandpa was on the porch drinking his coffee when Trevor returned, this time marching up the path with more attitude and a printed violation packet in his hand. He didn't knock, didn't ask permission, just stormed onto the porch like he owned it. Sir, he snapped, this is your final warning. Trying to rush him, his hands towards his baton. That's when Grandpa leaned back and reached beside his chair and brought out his pistol. He aimed the gun at him. Trevor froze. Color drained out of his face. His voice cracked like a cheap plate. Sir, please, don't use that. Grandpa tilted his head. Then get off my land. But Trevor didn't move fast enough. And that's how we got to the moment I walked out. Trevor on his knees in the dirt, wheezing and begging, and Grandpa calm as sunrise. When I stepped onto the porch, the whole world narrowed into one chilling picture. Grandpa sitting in his old rocking chair, calm as sunrise, and a fake HOA cop, Trevor Bolton, kneeling in the dirt, breathing hard, shaking, eyes red with panic. Grandpa's pistol sat steady in his right hand, aimed straight at Trevor's chest. Please, Trevor begged, voice cracking. I wasn't really going to hurt you. Just put the gun down and we can talk. Grandpa didn't blink. You walked onto my land, he said quietly, called yourself an officer, threatened to seize my barn, and told an old man to comply or face consequences. Now you want mercy? Trevor sobbed, almost bowing in the dirt. I screwed up, okay? I'll leave. I swear I'll leave. Grandpa tilted his head. A man makes a mistake. Fine. Happens. But a man threatens me on my own porch? He shifted the pistol just an inch. That's a different lesson. Trevor's breathing got faster. Too fast. I saw it before he moved. The flicker in his eyes, the desperate calculation, the stupid decision forming. Don't, Grandpa warned softly. But idiots listen to fear, not wisdom. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, Trevor lunged forward, one hand shooting toward the pistol grip. He thought Grandpa was slow, old, easy. He had no idea the hands holding that pistol had held one for 50 years. The moment Trevor's fingers brushed the barrel, bang! The gunshot snapped the quiet morning in half. Birds scattered from the trees. Dust jumped off the ground. Trevor collapsed sideways, screaming and grabbing his upper arm where blood was already blooming through his sleeve. He rolled in the dirt, kicking, gasping, the shock hitting him harder than the bullet. Grandpa didn't stand, didn't yell, didn't move. He simply recentered the pistol on his lap and said, I warned you, boy. Trevor writhed, face twisted in agony. You shot me, he cried. I wasn't going to hurt you, You tried to take a gun from the man holding it, Grandpa said. That's suicide in every state line worth living in. Trevor tried to push himself up, but his arm buckled. He let out a sharp cry and collapsed again. You're lucky it was your arm, Grandpa added. I could have aimed much higher. That's when I pulled out my phone. I'd been frozen until that moment, halfway between shock, anger, and pride. But seeing Trevor rolling in the dirt, bleeding, still trying to scramble away with one working arm, that snapped me into motion. I stepped off the porch, keeping a good distance from him, just in case he got another bright idea, and dialed the sheriff. "Sheriff's office," the dispatcher answered. "This is Daniel Carter," I said, voice steady but tight. "I need deputies at my granddad's farm. We've got a trespasser. Injured, armed earlier, impersonating an HOA officer. He tried to grab my grandfather's gun. My grandfather fired in self-defense." The dispatcher didn't even sound surprised. This county had seen its share of HOA nonsense. "Is the suspect still on scene?" she asked. "He's not going anywhere," I said, glancing at Trevor curled up in the dust, whimpering like a kicked dog. Grandpa didn't take his eyes off him. "Make sure they send Mac," he murmured. "That boy at least knows paperwork from manure." "Already on his way?" the dispatcher replied. I hung up and looked at Trevor. He'd stopped screaming and started breathing in short, wet gasps, not from the bullet, but from pure panic. Sweat rolled down his forehead. His whole body trembled. "You shot me," he whispered again, like he couldn't believe reality had finally caught up to him. "Yep," Grandpa said, "and you earned it." Trevor's lip quivered. You're going to prison for this." Grandpa raised one eyebrow. "For defending myself? On my property? From a fake cop trying to seize my land." Trevor opened his mouth, then closed it. There wasn't a single lie he could reach for. Not anymore. Minutes later, I heard the rumble of tires on gravel, the sharp crunch that always means help or trouble out here. Two sheriff cruisers slid into the driveway, dust curling around them like fog. And when Sheriff Mac Mullen stepped out, hat tilted, jaw tight, eyes already tired, I knew exactly how this was going to go. He took one look at Trevor bleeding in the dirt and shook his head slowly. "Well," Max said, walking over, "looks like somebody finally picked a fight with the wrong grandpa." Grandpa just leaned back in his chair, pistol resting on his knee, calm as ever. "Told him not to grab it," he said. Max sighed. "Heard that story 1,000 times. Only ends one way." If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe because the story is only going to get better. Sheriff Mack walked past Trevor, kneeling beside him just long enough to inspect the wound. "Through the upper arm," he said with a slow nod. "Clean pass. Lucky man." Trevor whimpered. "He shot me. He's insane." Mac raised a hand. "Son, I've known Earl Carter," he pointed at Grandpa, "longer than you've known how to spell clipboard. He doesn't shoot unless someone does something monumentally stupid." Trevor tried to argue, but the pain hit him again, and he folded over with a groan. Deputies cuffed his good wrist, rolled him carefully onto a stretcher, and loaded him into the ambulance. The red lights flashed across the porch as they closed the doors. As the sirens faded, Mac looked at Grandpa. "You doing all right, Earl?" Grandpa shrugged. "He grabbed the gun. I warned him," Mac smirked. "Then the boy earned every stitch he's about to get." Trevor didn't go to jail right away. He went to Mercy Hill Regional, where doctors spent nearly an hour flushing the wound, cutting away fabric from his uniform, and explaining, very slowly, that a bullet through the arm was still better than one through the chest. He stayed there 4 days. 4 loud, complaining, dramatic days. But pain medicine can't fix stupidity. And by the time deputies escorted him out of the hospital with his arm in a sling, his charges were waiting. That same morning, Mac and 2 investigators rolled into the HOA office. Karen Whitlow tried to play queen of the county, chin high, arms crossed, lips pinched tight, but it didn't save her. Mac set Trevor's official badge, his fake violation slips, and the phone recordings on her desk, one by one. "You hired a man to impersonate law enforcement," Mac said flatly. "You sent him to threaten property seizure, and you told him to force compliance with an elderly man." Karen paled. But the worst part? Trevor talked. The moment he realized prison was coming, he folded like a damp newspaper. He admitted everything. The secret orders, the harassment plan, the fake training certificates, all of it. By the end of the week, Karen Whitlow was in handcuffs too. Court was standing room only. Farmers, neighbors, even the mailman showed up just to hear the verdict. Trevor limped into the courtroom, arm bandaged, face pale, eyes hollow. Karen walked in stiffly, jaw trembling. The judge barely needed 10 minutes. Trevor Bolton, for impersonating an officer, trespassing with intent to intimidate, and attempting to seize a firearm from a homeowner acting in self-defense. 4 years in state prison. Karen Whitlow, for conspiracy, ordering unlawful enforcement, filing false reports, and misusing HOA authority. 8 years in state prison, $15,000 restitution, and a lifetime ban from HOA leadership anywhere in the state. The courtroom erupted. Some gasped, some clapped. Grandpa didn't react at all. He just tipped his hat. Outside, as we helped him into the truck, he looked at me and said, "Son, some folks learn from books, others learn from life. And then there are fools like Trevor. They only learn when the lesson hurts." And that's how one fake HOA cop found out the hard way that you don't threaten a grandpa on his own porch. The end.